Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Kenji, your host for today, and with me is my co host Anna, and this is the Unconventional Podcast. So, for today's episode, we'll be discussing the growing stigma surrounding sexual reproduction, particularly concerning health and prevention in the Philippines. This stigma contributes to significant challenges, including a lack of comprehensive sex education, coupled with the social stigma and misconceptions around contraceptive use, limited access to reproductive health care and prevention services, and adverse effects on the mental health of individuals facing reproductive health issues. Shockingly, statistics reveal that 1 out of 5 girls become a mother by the age of 19. 61.8% of sexually active unmarried women aged 15 to 19 have an unmet need for family planning, with young people and unmarried women continue to be denied access to sexual and reproductive health or SRH services. These alarming figures underscore the urgent need to address stigma and improve sexual and reproductive health outcomes in the Philippines.
Now, welcome everyone to our discussion on the stigma surrounding sexual reproduction. Joining us today are the students from our college, De La Salle University. Now, before we delve into our conversation, we want to emphasize that participation is entirely voluntary, and this is a safe space. So, we encourage everyone to feel comfortable, sharing as much or as little as they're comfortable with on this very sensitive topic. Additionally, we've provided articles to help inform our discussions better, which we've already previously sent to the students. Now, let's kick things off with a brief introduction from each of you. Please unmute one at a time and state your nickname and course.
Hi, I'm Macy. I'm a second year DSU student studying psychology and business management.
Hello, I'm Eman Tagatak. I'm first year and I'm studying BS Information Technology.
Hello, I am Jean Hazel Alabat. I am second year and I am taking up computer science software technology.
Hello, I'm Kevin Luis Wang, and I'm a second year, and I'm taking up BS Computer Engineering.
Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Paolo and I'm also a second year student taking up BS Computer Engineering.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and I'm actually ID 120. I'm not sure what year I am since I'm delayed. So I'm taking up psychology.
Hi, I'm 30, 122 student, and I'm taking up industrial engineering.
Okay, so for the first question, what do you guys think are the issues of this? And have you guys experienced this stigma personally or perhaps heard of it? What do you know about its issue in the Philippines or in our campus in De La Salle?
I think I can start this off. Well, personally, I have not really experienced or being stigmatized since like I'm not really sexually active, you know. Pero being in the Philippines, reading social media and seeing posts about sex education and reading the comments, there are still a lot of negative views about it, and since they're um, using religion, and they're also using reasons like maraming taong mabubuntis dito, or maraming mga batang ita-try out yung mga to kung ituturo sa school. So I think this is an issue that we must address, since for me, yung sex education is a positive thing really. Kasi one of the reasons why there are rising teenage pregnancies is because of curiosity eh. Like, kung masyado silang curious sa isang bagay na hindi tinuturo kung yung details about it.
Thank you, Paolo, for taking initiative and answering our first question. Would anyone else like to add?
Yeah, I would like to actually expound on Paulo. So, in my personal experience, the stigma on sexual reproduction was high, especially in my family, since I was born from two young parents. My mom was 16 when she gave birth to me, and my dad was 20. My grandparents raised me since my parents couldn't, and they really enforced on me about sex, but not really normalizing sex in a healthy way. They were more like, just don't do it because don't do it. Look at your parents, and that's it. No additional information about it. I just had to learn on my own, including the mistakes. So, in relation to that, I'll just share without sugarcoating it. In my friend group from high school, I was the first one to have that kind of experience. as well as a guy. It was also his first. So we were both really nervous, but we did our research. We did kind of overkill with the safety measures, and luckily I didn't get sick from all the pills. So being the first in my friend group with that experience, they all came to me when they were gonna do it or after they did it. They even referred me to people who did it, and most of them were panicking. And I had to teach them the basics such as condoms and how to put it, and about birth control and emergency contraceptives, also about like last options for just in case, and overall like the pressures and how to deal with it. So I feel like with my friends just coming to me for all these feelings, like being scared, anxious, and even angry at themselves about their sexual experience, I feel like the lack of knowledge and normality of a supposed normal human thing is a big issue, not only in our campus but in the youth through the times as well.
So thank you for your personal insights and stories. So from that, we can say that stigma is definitely prevalent after hearing those individual stories. And with that, to add to that, have any of you acted on these issues like Macy or on this topic? How did you handle and address them?
So for me personally, I don't really experience much of this, but obviously, as they mentioned earlier, the stigma is really prevalent, especially here in the Philippines. So I try to be as supportive as possible to these people. So, for instance, a friend of a friend had issues regarding this topic. So we can't really do much except be supportive and just comfort the person. So yeah. That's all.
I'd like to add also on what Kevin shared. So on my end, the way I acted it, because I had this experience also with my friends first in high school. At first, when we're in high school, it's a really big deal. But as we go on growing to college, it's become something that's normal to talk about, which is good naman. I think that because it's been talked about a lot in my own experience, I'm able to like research about it and give out personal advice and ask those who are a lot older and who's more experienced, even professionals. So that's how I personally acted on them. So like I just really shared some personal experiences. I also like gave advice to my friends, but it's not something that we were judging them for. It's more of like an open space. So that's how we really acted as like a group of friends.
Okay, thank you, Kevin and Sophie, for sharing your experiences. So we have more questions, and I bet you guys have more answers, so please tell us. As a Lasallian, what are some steps you can take to resolve these issues? What strategies or initiatives are effective in reducing stigma and promoting access to sexual and reproductive health care and services? Please feel free to unmute and share your answers.
Hi, so I think the answer to this is by educating ourselves, considering now we're in Lasal, and we have to support and engage in advocacies that given that our school already promotes a lot of these movements.
Definitely. Now we should take into account all the initiatives present. And speaking of all the initiatives present in our institution or in our alma mater, how would you put Saint LaSalle address the theme? What virtues would help him make resolutions to address the theme at hand?
Um, as we all know now, si Saint Lasal, he values education very much. So, he founded various schools around the world. And I think that he would be, well, personally supportive of educating the public about such an important issue since it affects many people around the world, including young ones. And regarding yung sa Lasallian virtue, I think um, the best one that could relate that is related to this is yung zeal, since it says here that zeal is being able to challenge conventional wisdom and tradition for the sake of excellence and continuing improvement. And in this context, yung challenge na ideas is yung stigma regarding sex education, na it is considered bad by many people, including the older generations. So, with zeal, we must have the zeal to challenge these stigmas so that more and more people can be more open about the idea of sex education and the ideas of contraceptives and why these are beneficial to the youth. That is all for my opinion.
Well, I think I can add. So, in theme to our alma mater, like what was said, I think there are many virtues that we learn here in the cell, learn to develop in ourselves that would help address the stigma behind sex education. So, some virtues that I imagine would that Saint LaSalle would have in dealing with these issues are humility and patience to take time to understand the importance of sex education and how it is related to the people's well-being, especially the youth who are trying to explore this side of them. And also, I think that as a Lasallian, we should also have wisdom and gentleness in dealing with how the sensitive issues so that we can be more open and people will be able to comfortably address this as it is a an important aspect to our physical, mental, and I guess our social health. So that's what I have to say about this question.
All right, here's the next question. What are the consequences of stigma on individuals' mental health and well-being, especially those facing reproductive health challenges?
Uh, you guys already mentioned earlier, the stigma is very prevalent, right? So it's already a headache for a lot of people, but imagine parang you're carrying around or you're already carrying this burden around because of your choices or maybe not, but it's nevertheless like a heavy weight on your shoulders. So it makes you like doubt yourself and you know fearful of being judged by others. But yeah, so like this fear can really mess with your head. So like you're constantly worried about people finding out and instead like you end up like bottling up everything. So yeah, you just be feeling isolated and alone. So as I mentioned earlier, like we'll be providing like as fellow humans, like we should be supportive and yeah, just try to help them. So another thing is I guess the healthcare services, even though there are like resources available, like many people face like obstacles when they try to get help from there. So uh it's not really out there. So yeah, like people are very judgmental and these kinds of topics like you're basically trying to navigate through a system that's like against you and yeah, so I feel like the stigma here in the Philippines is actually doing more harm than good. So yeah, we should try creating a more supportive environment for these people so that, they feel more comfortable getting the support and seeking the help they need. So
To add to that, due to the stigma to reproductive health and sexual reproduction, parang may mga taong mga nahihiya na lang. Kasi like, di ba dahil dun sa older generation, parang tinuro sa kanila na like, sex is bad, ganun ganun. And so like, especially to those people na parang walang makakausap, walang close friend or like a close sibling or anything to talk about reproductive health, parang ma-anxious ka na lang. Kasi like, we're all college students. We're in like 18, 19, or in our early 20s. And like, ma-anxious ka na lang kasi like, hey, I can't get pregnant or get someone pregnant. Or like, I can't get an STD because like, nag-aaral pa ako, may future pa ako. And like, this is where I think na sex education is important talaga. Kasi like, we need to be at least somehow educated on these sort of things para di tayo matakot or like we don't have this fear of like sexual reproduction. Yeah, yun.
Thank you from Kevin and Eman. Valid points were definitely made. Education is definitely necessary to ease the anxiety, especially with a theme such as this. So, to wrap it up, here is our last question. Now, the issues mentioned with the theme of stigma, such as lack of sex education, lack of access to care or prevention, impact on the mental health of those facing those issues, and the like. So these issues that you think rather is beyond your capacity as an individual or student to handle. So who are the other persons, groups, organizations that you recommend can help you facing these issues?
Hi, so I would like to
Uh,
go first.
okay.
So I would look at government and non-government organizations. I'm not aware of specific ones, but I believe there are a lot of organizations supporting this cause. And aside from that, I would look for people close to us that have experience so that we should like talk to them and ask for or tips personally from them. We shouldn't shy away from asking, considering now we learned so much from it, and that it's so important to build the support system around us so that we won't face these challenges by ourselves.
So I think to what 13 mentioned, when handling the issue, knowing that I don't have enough power to actually solve the problem, there are actually more solutions that can contribute to this. Um, since we are in the 21st century, there are also a lot of knowledge you can find and access online that you can simply share with these people. There are actually brands online who sell adult toys that market their products through educational contents regarding sexual reproductive health. I also want to emphasize then it's still important and highly encouraged to reach out to professionals for these individuals and pass along their message so they can spread them, especially if we know who are going through it, since we know a lot of these women do not have access to what we have. It will be more effective than if we can cater resources they can use for a safe and healthy relationship, not only with others, but with themselves and their body. Connection to a public medical institution where they can get help for free is one of the resources that can contribute to this. Doing these will at least help in lessening the increase of this problem and instead better, even though it may be a few, of women's life choices.
Okay, I think it's time to wrap up this episode of the podcast. It was nice to hear from each and every one of you, especially from a Lasallian standpoint. And hopefully, our listeners today have learned a lot from this episode.
So thank you for your time and effort in attending the Unconventional Podcast. Once again, I'm your co-host Anna, and with me is the host Kenji. And that is it for this episode. Tune in at the same time next week for more content.